Okay guys, this is my summary of phases 9 through 14. Okay, in phase 9 I talk more about this great wonderful space race, and to celebrate our newfound global democracy, we're going to have this great wonderful space race, right? The absolute truth is that this race isn't going to be anything great or wonderful at all. The truth is the race is going to be a horrifying freaking disaster. These ships are going to rip apart. These ships are going to explode. And brave, honorable men are going to die. Now, doesn't make the race very fun. I accept full responsibility for the deaths of the men who compete in this race. Their blood is on my hands. I refuse to accept responsibility for one more death or one more drop of blood. And I explain that very thoroughly in phase 9. In phase 10, I suggest that I want to sell the nations of the world a fleet of 1 billion spaceships. 1 billion spaceships, and I suggest on how I offer to sell them. I offer to sell them. I use the word sell. The fleet of the nations of the world, a fleet of 1 billion ships, and I said sell, so I kind of give them options of payment, and it doesn't really matter which option they choose because this is going to be expensive as hell. This is a very, very expensive endeavor for the nations of the world. And the honest truth is, I could probably try to charge them all 3. Okay, should probably charge them all 3. Phase 11, I talk about what do I talk about? Then I talked about a list of, I don't know exactly where this was, if this was which phase this was, but I think it's phase 11. I talked about, in phase 10 I talked more about what I wanted and what I wanted in my amusement parks and stuff, and I should go more detail in that later. But yeah, like my own I want my own private island with an amusement park, and I want a holodeck in my amusement park, and I want holodecks. I want to design and build holodecks in all my amusement parks. That's like one of the main attractions, I guess. And another attraction is, well, I'll tell that. And another attraction I didn't talk about in the phase was that I want my malls, or the roof of my mall to have a landing pad or landing pads for my helicopters. Probably going to travel around by helicopter a lot. It's convenient landing wherever I want to land. And I want my mall built around my 4 huge toy stores on the north, south, east, and west side of my mall. These toy stores are huge. These toy stores are so big. They're gigantic toy stores, and they're so big because they are jam-packed full of simulators. These simulators simulate what it's like to fly around and battle in one of my spaceships. If you want to buy one, you can. I estimate they cost approximately $250,000 a piece. I offered celebrities a celebrity discount. I was going to get to that in a later phase. I offered celebrities a celebrity discount because they're kind of like my idols, and they inspire me to want to make my own cartoons and to sing and to do all this stuff. They've inspired me to do all this stuff, so I offered them a celebrity discount, and as their celebrity discount, with their celebrity discount, these simulators are buy one get one free, so that they can hook them up to each other. They can have simulated battles with each other, against each other. I have different programs on it. Okay, the next phase The next phase, I kind of had a list of personal requests, and I said, please, just hear out my personal request. My personal request was that to China, to the King of China, I request that he perform a second type of ceremony for me. It's a second type of ceremony. It involves a bride. Okay. Then I requested that as Prince of a Dozen Nations, I accept and agree to the fact I'm now considered property of the UN. So it's property of the UN. I asked for bodyguards, and then I asked to play with kitty cats, because given bodyguards, they can't necessarily play with lions and tigers and cheetahs online without their permission. And then I asked for the right to marry, as Prince of Muslim Nations, I request the right to marry as many women as I so choose. I could have a whole harem, a dozen different girls from a dozen different nations. So I may choose to waive those rights later. I'm still considering it. Then I request people's pardons. I requested people's pardons, and then I tried to request that I be accepted into military type school or college, and I have to work all the time to do it, like every waking moment basically to do it. And so all I do is work, like ever. You know, I suggested the U.S. government can write my schedule for me for the duration of going to school. After going to school, I'd like to be given the right to write my own schedule once again. You know, hey, that way I don't have to work quite as much. And that's for 6 years. And I wanted to go to school for 6 years and let the U.S. government write my schedule for me for 6 years, just to help me get in the groove of things. I requested that I could draft at least one, maybe more people into the military. You know, if I say, I didn't go into detail because I don't want to embarrass him or be ignorant to him, but I want to draft him in the army and make this childish little son of a bitch into a man. Okay, there may be more on that list. Let's see. So that's that phase. And the last phase, the next phase I talk about, let me think. Next phase I talk about, man, I talk about so much shit, it ain't even funny. Next phase I talk about, I talk about how much I talk about my 10-year plan, and I talk about I actually suggest my workers join together and form themselves a union. Suggest everybody in the world, all the employees all around the world, organize and form themselves a union. Even McDonald's and Taco Bell and shit. Organize and form yourselves a union, right? I suggest the people who work for me should organize and form themselves a union. I spit out the contract that I offer my employees. I let them vote I asked them to vote on the contract, and I said if they wanted to vote no, they can. That they should elect a president to their union, and unions have presidents to it. It's an elected position, and have this man come and just try to negotiate something better with me. Then the last phase I talked about. Celebrity discount and how celebrities mean a lot to me. And after that I talked about the celebrity discount, and then I talked about one last tribute need to be paid to the kings to set the people free, and that we should build big, huge, wonderful, wonderful monuments celebrating our freedoms and honoring the kings who freed us. Then I suggested that the International Space Navy does in fact need a commander-in-chief, and the UN does need a leader to lead it in parliamentary discussion, which I'm not sure if it already has a leader like that, and if not, they should elect one and call it the elected chairman. Then last and not least, last but definitely not least, I asked to be. I suggested that when it comes to royal children, I suggested that I was their most humble and most loyal servant. So, as their most humble and most loyal servant, I suggest they should never be punished for anything, and I asked that I be punished instead. And basically, I offered to take. I asked to take lashes, like from a whip, lashes from a whip for my princes and my princesses' disobedience. And then I said, that this is. I offer my kings my very own blood for my other countries. This is how I plan on paying it. And then I said, what do you guys expect? It's not easy becoming royalty. And if any of you think you could deny me my royal title, anyone who would deny me that royal title can have the privilege, it's the absolute privilege, of wiping the blood off my back. Thank you guys very much. That's my summary. Love you. Peace. I'm out of here.